Okay, let me see if I can get this right.
All right, you gotta get it right. I believe in people. Way to go, Neil Sean. Wow.
Rock and
That's
roll.
awesome. Don't stop believing, people.
Don't stop believing.
Exactly.
Believe that.
That's the kind of thing. Think about how many different sports teams, as they're going through the playoffs, trying to reach their championship, they use that song and to keep their fans all jazzed up. They're all singing it in their stadiums and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Think about all the bad, like you mentioned before we hit the record button.
Yeah.
All the karaoke.
It's Don't Stop Believin' is right there neck and neck with Love Shack from the B-52s for the top karaoke song. So there you go, folks.
Yep. Mostly done very poorly.
Well, yes. A lot of karaoke is done poorly, but it turns out everybody wants to be a singer. Who knew?
Yeah, after a few. Because
this is why karaoke got invented, right?
Yeah.
Drinking?
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, you're right. It was invented in Japan. Japanese love to drink. They love to go out. They love to sing "My Way" by.
Yeah, I think, and I think the average person secretly wishes they were a rock star.
They do.
And so they can let loose. And yes, I've been to those cool karaoke booths in Tokyo, and it's a blast. It's so much fun.
Oh yeah,
it is fun.
Actually, what I heard is that Japanese that don't speak any word of English, they sing like Bon Jovi songs with perfect pronunciation from Michigan, but on the other hand, they don't speak any English at all. So.
Right?
Yeah.
The only karaoke I've ever done was in Sweden, Rob.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
ABBA. Actually, we were in an offsite one, so we could wear costumes. They had costumes at that offsite wherever we went.
Yeah.
So I had a wig that resembled one of the singers in ABBA, and
I love it.
A costume, and that's the only thing I ever did.
You know what? I'm so ready to just break out with Dancing Queen right now. I'm
well,
ready.
the thing is, I don't know lyrics of any songs. That's the thing. I could probably sing, even though my son, who's who's based in a chamber choir of Auburn University, tells me I can't sing. Like, no, Mama, no, you can't sing.
Really?
But hey, I was in choir too. I believe I can sing.
Your dreams.
But I don't know lyrics, right? So
yeah, but tell your son he shouldn't be so mean to mommy. That's like
Mama, you can't sing.
I would say my number one karaoke song that I'm known throughout the land would be "Creep" by Radiohead. Yeah, that's my song, and I save up everything I've got for the very end. It's like,
I'd love to do Stevie Nicks songs. I would really love to.
Stevie Nicks, I heard that she is on a tour with some.
She is. Yes, with who is it she with?
I just saw that.
Yes, I did too. They're coming to Dallas, and I love Stevie Nicks.
Oh, Stevie's great. Did you, since we often talk about Dave Grohl being the friendliest guy keeping rock and roll alive, did you ever see the documentary he did called Sound City about the recording studio in LA? And it basically centered around an analog soundboard that there's only like 6 of them in the world. It was hand built. It's called the Neve. And anyway, it's what Nirvana used when they created Nevermind, and they recorded it at Sound City. But Sound City was kind of shutting down, and they were going to sell off this deal. And Dave's like, "I've got to buy this thing." But he makes a whole documentary. It shows all the bands from the early '70s who went through this place. It's like somewhere in the San Fernando Valley, and who used this board and so you're interviewing.
Yeah.
And it starts with Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham. Because the two of them, I guess, were dating. And remember, they did a couple albums called Buckingham Nicks, and then they're dirt poor. Like, she's cleaning houses for a living, and they're doing all this stuff. And then Mick Fleetwood, I guess, shows up there to do some stuff, recording stuff. And then he asked the owner, "Who are these two kids? You know, they've got and they're like, yeah, they kind of got a cool sound." And they said, maybe we could jam together or whatever. And the rest is history. You know, they joined Fleetwood Mac, and
I love Fleetwood Mac.
They just kill it in the 70s.
I've seen them in concert several times just in the last, 10 years.
Yeah.
I love them.
You know, this is an example of the serendipity that happens when you go back to the office and you run into people in the hallway or in meeting rooms, and you crash into each other.
Yeah.
That's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
So, I think now that I'm doing my pivot into healthcare, I think about serendipity all the time. As I connect with people, I'm like, okay, I think serendipity is going to happen today.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, it doesn't really happen full force, but it's like a step towards serendipity. So I'm really immersed into serendipity nowadays.
So some of us were in Austin last week.
Yay!
For IoT World /AI/Quantum Summit. And some people were in Orlando. Was that right? For your Honeywell
Connect 2022.
So, Andrea, I know you talked to some people there. Speaking of serendipity, you were I know because we were hanging out together, and you were trying to find anybody on that show floor that was into IoT and healthcare or edge in healthcare. Did you find anybody?
No.
Oh my God.
No. So, I found Kajit. Kajit has something to do with healthcare.
Yeah.
But it wasn't very clear. So it's something I could look at. And and I found Changhua Telecom, but it was not IoT related. I had a telehealth mobile unit that they sell to governments. So
I remember us looking at that. That was cool. Like the whole thing in a box.
Yeah. Yes. Taiwan.
Awesome.
They said it so far in Taiwan and Thailand, and they want to sell it in US, right?
Okay.
But to the government, like for events like the one we were at.
No.
Well, I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah. But speaking of Honeywell, so before IoT, I was at an innovators conference. And when I say innovators, I mean this organization, the number 8 RS Innovators is a Dutch, Dutch company. And it was really cool. So for some reason, I hang out with this group too. For some reason, every time I'm in an innovator-like environment, it's just amazing. Like, not only I stay awake the whole time, but which, for sometimes, it can get boring, right? At whatever conference you're in, and you kind of get those off. No, not at these conferences or events, not at all. But there was a guy from Honeywell, and I have to look up his name, who works in innovation in Honeywell, who presented, and everything he presented was about healthcare from his previous jobs.
Yeah.
And I was quite interested to hear the Honeywell angle, just for fun, right? Because I know of Honeywell. And then he talked healthcare, which was more interesting to me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Well, I had a chat with Robert Robertson, who leads up their healthcare group. And you'll be surprised. I was pretty surprised. I was like, wow, and they do a lot of remote healthcare related stuff, and they ODM stuff for certain clients as well. So they do a lot of stuff. It was a great conference. A lot to learn about what kind of play that Honeywell's undergoing at the moment with like Forge and stuff like that. So it was great. And they have some pretty smart folks. The guys who used to develop industrial controls, they have a lot of insight into the business. Do you know what I'm saying? At the ground level. So like what we were talking about before, the week before, some of these industrial models as you start to move them up the chain, they start to clash with the IoT thinking, and there's a lot of redesign and rethinking that's happening at that layer. So, I mean, for the big companies, if they can think through this stuff in a quote unquote proper and open-minded way, then I think there could be a lot of cool things that can happen. But obviously, being a big company, it's tough to sometimes think outside of the box. So, but it looks like they have some pretty smart people who have good experience, at the helm. So we'll see what happens. It's they'll even admit it, they're kind of in early days with Forge. It's over 3 years old, but they have a ways to go. But I just love that they didn't call it a platform. They're really looking at it as an architecture, and they have a blueprint for how to gel things together. And then one of the things that I thought was really cool is they said, accelerator. We're an accelerator for deployment internally, not externally. So it's not necessarily a customer-facing strategy that they have. It's really about how do we enable innovation and development within their own organizations, support all these vertical industries. So to the IoT community out there, this could be a really good case study to see a company that has a lot of vertical expertise and also a lot of control, ground level expertise, squish that stuff together, right? Because one of the things I talked about to David Trice, who's the chief product officer, is like, man, you guys kind of have, everyone is trying to do platforms. And like what we talked about last week, Steve, you brought up, there's still 600. Where are those platforms going? But the biggest gap that the platform guys have is somebody who's doing something with end users, right? And the verticals that's bringing that vertical experience down, and then commonizing it and harmonizing it across a platform. But dude, I had some really, really great conversations that really surprised me. So, and I'm not just saying that, but we'll see.
Hey, Leonard, David Trice worked on a SMB platform for Honeywell Connect on like a year or two ago.
Oh,
was
really?
that brought up on being able to do a Honeywell system into a small, medium-sized building?
No, that didn't. I mean, my impression was that they're really going for the heavier stuff because they have big clients. You know what I'm saying? And then I think the idea is let's build simplicity and then scalability, meaning you can scale it up and down as they go with this architecture, right? So I think it's in a lot of ways, it's a rethinking of where they started off 3 years ago. But it's also a recognition of what they have and the path they have to go forward with. But I just told them, it's like, guy, number one, I love architecture because remember, almost a year and a half ago, we had a session on IoT platforms. And one of the things I said, there is no such thing as a platform. It's just architecture. There's going to be bits and pieces you blueprint together to solve problems, right? And these guys are talking about now, almost 2 years after. But it very well could be the right approach. But when you think about how we've been talking about platforms, I think that's how the broader community needs to think. And then consider how do we take experience at the from our customers' perspective and channel it down into a platform. But you really need to just go to market and say, hey, look, we have really great blueprint for solutioning. That I think resonates a hell of a lot better than platform, because platform is becoming a joke. Everyone has one, and none of them are going anywhere, right? So
I think most of those platforms were basically middleware systems that all these companies built.
Right. And so it's challenging. But I'd love to get Mark's thoughts on it, because I'm sure that Mark has a contrarian view on all this. You're on mute, dude.
He's got a great point.
Yeah, this is better to don't get censored.
Oh, there.
Can you hear me well now?
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I hate the word platform. Because even Arduino has a platform, right? It's a platform, a hardware platform. What? But yeah, I don't know. If you do software, so when you do software, you need to take decisions, and those decisions create an architecture. So I'm not sure how do you sell an architecture. But yeah, of course, if you're selling a piece of software that is a service, basically, that's an architecture where you have different bits and pieces interconnected among them. Not sure if this is the right way to encapsulate everything or not. Let's see. Hopefully, we can see platforms succeeding in the near future, or architecture succeeding.
Yeah. Well, I think the better way of thinking about it is if you talk about architectures, you're really talking about design and buildings, something. No, I had a better thought, but it escaped me.
It escaped you
because my kid just yelled, and
But just give me an example, because I don't think it's on my mind. It's not tangible what you mean with architecture. Maybe it's again the semantics that I don't get.
Well, from a consulting perspective, like when my teams used to go in and number one sell and also design deliver, we never talked about, well, we have a platform. We said, look, here's a reference architecture we're bringing in. These are all the bits and pieces that need to come together. Here are the applications, functional bits, technical bits, and here are the things you guys have in your environment. Here are the things that we're going to introduce. This is how we have to put them together. So it provides a blueprint for design. But even up front during the sales cycle, it demonstrates that you have a very clear understanding of what solution patterns look like, right? And what system patterns, design architectures look like. And you can talk intelligently about this stuff, rather than just throwing all this, mumbo jumbo about configurable this and that, and
bits and pieces.
What do you call no code crap? You're actually talking about the complexities of actually building something, and at the end of the day, you have to do a bit of it. You can never have a complete SaaS, especially for things that touch reality. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't think you can have complete solutions without architectures. Architecture designates completeness.
Yeah.
So it's looking kind of breezy there in Vero Beach.
Yeah, it's been blowing since ever since Mike Seidel got here.
What?
Mike Seidel from the Weather Channel got here yesterday morning, and the winds picked.
Oh no, okay. That's not a good sign.
You're in trouble.
No, when Jim Cantori or Mike Seidel show up in your town, you're
that's shit. Not a good sign.
That's right.
Obviously,
you know their names
a lot.
Exactly
what you're talking about.
Yeah, because I saw the weather woman on Good Morning America. She was up in Cocoa Beach.
Yeah.
I think
I'll send you a video. The ocean is just ugly, and the waves are coming over the sand dunes. So I have to thank all of you for contributing to the beach replenishment, $10 million beach replenishment that we did in March. Your money is now out in the ocean.
Nature, Mother Nature.
Not Mark.
Not Mark's money. That's right. It's our money. No, it's we're probably in the 30 mile an hour, 35 mile an hour since yesterday, and squalls come through every once in a while, and then tonight's the worst. So if we get through the morning, we'll be okay. So,
all right.
It's a hurricane window, so I'm not shuttered up, but it's just it sucks. I mean, just the tree damage and palm leaves all over the place, stuff like that. But
does this mean are we gonna have another Artemis delay?
Actually, they moved the SpaceX launch to Saturday, and they moved that back in yesterday, or it was supposed to be yesterday morning. Airports are shutting down this afternoon: Melbourne, Palm Beach, Orlando. So we would just get through the next, till 24 hours, and the sun's supposed to come out tomorrow. So.
And when you get in a hurricane and then you get problems with electricity or internet connection or water or whatever, how long it gets to get electricity back at home? Or
the unfortunate part about, Mark, I live on a barrier island on the ocean, so the electricity is coming across the water to get to us. The same thing with our natural gas and everything else. So. They shut the bridges down and they shut the power down if the winds sustain over 45 miles an hour. So if we do get down, it definitely takes a good solid day for us to get trucks to come over here and fix us. So in the past, that's what it's been. So
wow.
So I can grill and use the natural gas, but I can't, I can't see it. And we have our little trusty flashlights everywhere.
There you go. Yeah, you just have to have a little headpiece
and a lot of bourbon.
Yes, there you go.
And some candles. So that can be. So it's an opportunity to have a romantic dinner or something, right?
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. There's a lot of that going on here, Mark.
Okay, too much information.
I love it. But it's interesting because I was having a conversation with the chief of police of our barrier island town, and I was saying, okay, how many buoys are you looking at, or sensors are you looking at? Because we're between the intercoastal and the beach, and I said, okay, so what do you got? What kind of data are you looking at? And he goes, none.
Yeah. In other words, Steve was trying to sell.
I was ABCing, baby. I was ABCing.
It's like,
oh my God!
I know this. I know this company here.
All right.
Oh my God! You stole some swag last week, didn't you?
Dude, you put them on the same seats where we were that whole event, so I had no choice. They were just laying there. That's the best thing about going to a show where Steve is speaking is you get the swag from his company.
Yeah.
So
just watch where you sit, though, and how you sit.
Was that the panel on Wednesday?
Yeah, the whole day. So I was chairman of the day for the industrial IoT track. So we were up there all day.
On Wednesday, right?
Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah, I missed it. I was at another conference on Wednesday. Yeah, I wanted to meet you in person, Steve, but didn't manage.
It's not a big
Steve,
deal.
what did you think of the event last week?
I was talking to. I have a call with Victoria this afternoon at 1:00 to kind of revert. I mean, there's a couple things that I still think that can be improved. I still think that there's not enough youth there, college students or education related people that could benefit from. You're going to be here in Austin and you're going to do this whole special deal with the University of Texas at Austin. Then invite the kids to come, all the computer science kids and the AI kids and everything else. So I was disappointed in that from that standpoint. I still think that the last day sucks. And I think they try and push these things out too many days or too many things because we had that awesome panel at the end with all the NSF director and a lot of great people, and there were 16 people in the audience. So that kind of stunk to end the show that way. So I think there's little things like that I think they can improve as far as the scheduling is concerned. So listen, 4,000 people. Hard to get back after COVID. We're never going to be in the Santa Clara, 8,000, 10,000, 12,000 people again anytime soon. So I think every one of these shows have got a challenge in front of them. So but the content was amazing. I mean,
the content was good. I like the venue better than Santa Clara.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And and I think the only time we felt a little unsafe was going to 6th Street, for any of those events. Other than that, I never felt unsafe at all. So so I do like the city. I do, that worked out really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I got to go on the boat trip and watch the bats under the bridge. So
have fun with that.
Absolutely.
And did you ride the karaoke taxi?
I did not get in a karaoke taxi. That would have been.
There is one, at least in Austin.
Yeah. Good point.
For some reason, I missed that adventure.
Yeah.
But I do. Listen. We talked about this last week, guys. I mean, I think the integration of AI and IoT is critical. I think adding of the computer vision stuff to the AI with it is really cool. So I think they're on the right track. I think, like what we discussed at the board meeting, Rob. What
do you mean they are on the right track?
Meaning that the idea is, that it's not a vertical show, but by adding AI into the IoT and making it a combined summit, Mark, allows a whole new set of people in to help us expand the industry and expand the technology base. And I was really amazed at how many AI that have not been in the IoT business companies were there, which was really cool to see them coming in. I was really thrilled about that. I really, obviously the data is king, right? So, when you look at the idea of AI data associated with, all the analytics that are going on, I was really happy about that direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great point.
Oh my God. Okay. So, hey, news flash.
What happened?
Okay. So Meta.
Ron DeSantis won again?
No.
Yeah.
I think they had that result like with the first vote.
Yeah.
But
sorry, Rob. Rob and I had our own conversation.
I'm sure you did. But friggin' Meta is slashing over 10,000 or 11,000.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin is down.
Yeah, I saw that this morning.
Crap ton. And then Ethereum is down over 25%.
Yeah.
It's like crashing.
Are you surprised or?
No, it's more of like a I told you so moment.
Right.
On IoT Coffee Talk.
Down 3,000 on
Except for Mark. Mark's going.
No, it's really interesting to understand what is happening here when one of the exchangers is dying and probably with full of shit when they will do the due diligence.
Yeah, but everybody's down. I mean, the Dow's down 273. Yeah. Everybody's down.
How's NASDAQ?
NASDAQ's down 123.
The economy sucks. It's in the toilet, the economy.
It is. I mean, and I think that you start to look at these layoffs, and not that I'm saying that I'm happy that anything is happening, but we had to come down to reality at some particular point.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just hire hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in these companies just because you have fake money behind you. I mean, it just doesn't work. I mean, so I understand that, but I really feel bad. I mean, just think about all those, I don't know. I'm torn. I'm torn.
Yeah,
but I think there's a lot. I mean, it's a lesson that we never learn is that when the cost of capital goes to zero, we always do the same thing. We float really bad ideas that have no foundational value, no intrinsic value, and we always seem surprised when all of a sudden the cost of capital goes up. And then, the stuff never made sense to begin with collapses. Right. We saw this with the .com. And I recently posted, I forgot, it was a CTO of IBM, I forgot his name is Dario. Anyway, I told him, the Silicon Valley culture is broken and needs to be reinvented. 'Cause otherwise, innovation and invention will go somewhere else. And it is. It's no longer just concentrated in Silicon Valley. And,
No, it's in Austin, Texas. You know that, right?
Silicon Valley.
But the Silicon Valley, if it doesn't get its act together, it will become irrelevant, And you only get so many goes at it because .com, okay, that was the first cry wolf, right? Then what's happening now is the second one. You might get a third chance. After that, you're done. It's going to be Austin. It's going to be Shenzhen. It's going to be, maybe somewhere in, maybe, I don't know. I can't even think of another massive
Korea
hub. Yeah, South Korea. Yeah, Korea. So you got to get your act together. But like I said, this is a lesson that we don't learn.
But I think this is an opportunity,
I think
right?
it's predictable, right? Like you said, and it's predictable. And the thing is, I think there are forces that actually make money. There are people that make money out of this.
Yes,
and
they make a lot of money.
Not everybody's a loser.
But like
exactly,
not
exactly.
Yeah. So, Mark, you were going to say something.
No, I think this is an opportunity. As you know, I'm techno optimist, so I hope that these people with the layoffs, they are going to create a better culture, new companies that will substitute the current technologies and maybe with better ethics than the ones we have.
And it's interesting because, Leonard, out where you are, there's no shortage of funds available. There's more money and funds than ever before in our entire lifetimes. Yeah. Even though the numbers, and I met with the head of the National Association of Venture Capital Companies, guy used to be at CTIA, and what he was telling me is that it's not even the qualifications of companies and entrepreneurs to get money that's the issue. The issue is no brand new innovative ideas that people are bringing to these VCs for money. It's almost like a Me Too world of technology. Right. Like I have a bet, my mousetrap has got a copper thing instead of a steel thing, or some, it's not innovate, something that is saying, okay, I gotta dump it. It's all the investments that have been made. The big investments over the last 2 years have been Me Too stuff. And I think
is it just specific to some verticals, Steve? Or because in healthcare, there's a lot of new stuff, a ton of new stuff.
And again, that was triggered from a COVID scenario, right? So I agree with you. The supply chain stuff, the tracking stuff, the vaccine tracking stuff, a lot of the patient monitoring things, my mom's, at home monitoring program, you're right. Andrea, there's no doubt that healthcare has definitely been more innovative than most of the other verticals that are out there.
Quite amazing, yeah.
I agree. So, but it's just interesting. There's no shortage of money. I mean, you can talk to any VC or PE guys out there. There is money on the street.
Oh yeah, sure.
So again, Mark, if you're right, if some of these kids, because we're not all kids here, so I'm going to say it out loud. I know,
some of us kids, right? Some of us kids.
But if these kids take their losses, take the innovation that's in their minds, build a successful business plan around a new innovative product, there's money out there for these guys to do it. And I think you're right, Mark. If all that swells up, then the cycle will come back with, again, small, medium-sized technology startup companies that are really innovative, that are bringing disruptive technology to our markets, and we'll go through. And I'm the elder statesman of this group. I've seen this shit sometimes ridiculous, right? So,
you're ridiculous.
It's stop it.
I'm glad you're calling this stuff out, man. That we don't have to tell you this.
Well, I mean, and again, I think, Rob, you and I have talked about this. I mean, the idea that we are blessed to be in the industry that we're in, because we have survived multiple depressions, multiple recessions, multiple catastrophes in order to continue to bring more innovation to the marketplace. And the basic core reason that people continue to roll out IoT and machine to machine and these innovative technologies is because they work.
Yeah. Right.
So,
right. No, you're right.
There's my weekly pontification.
There it is.
That was some serious pontification.
Yeah. You just came down from the mountain and just dropped some knowledge on everybody. Don't drop any tablets on the way down.
Mountain of Nicole.
Yeah. Don't trip on your way down.
Oh my God.
Having said that, I'm just running a Mastodon server on this Raspberry Pi right now. I just deployed it running on Balena.
Is that the Twitter copy thing?
Well, not a copy. It's pretty old, but yeah, it's like a decentralized kind of Twitter social network.
That's been an interesting little thing coming up lately when people are saying, well, yeah, because you're right. I'm seeing no shortage of people going, all right, I'm leaving Twitter. I'm out of here. I think these were all the same people who said they were going to leave the country if the right person wasn't elected. I think it was the same folks, actually.
Hey, David, what's up?
Still here. But you're right. They're like, oh, well, what are our alternatives to Twitter? And I've heard about Mastodon. And then someone else like, I just got funding. I'm building. You know what's funny is I feel like I've built Twitter several times because in building these ridiculous platforms, middleware for IoT, I inadvertently created Twitter because what is it? It's pub sub. I've got machines that are tweeting. And I have analytics and people who are followers of the tweets, the data. I mean, it's the same stuff. It's Twitter. If you built this, in fact, you should just. I remember our good friend Mr. Bellata years ago. I wrote this whole post about why IoT is exactly like Twitter, and he slammed me, of course. But he likes to do that with everything. But he's like, don't let people think that it's like Twitter. Stop it. But it is. It is. If you think about it, you have to start from scratch and build your platform, a good model to follow. How you sign up, how you register for Twitter.
No, you're completely right, Rob. And here I'm gonna ping our friend Leonard. So what you did is the architecture. So the architecture is like a copy. The thing is that the application running on the top of the architecture, it's completely different. So you allow machines to talk with each other, and Twitter or Mastodon or whatever allows human to talk with each other. Right. But basically, the architecture is the same. This is why I didn't understand 100%. Well, it's not exactly the same, but it's pretty similar.
Yeah, because Twitter's just all REST APIs, and you let people tweet, and other people, subscribers, followers, follow, and then if you decide to join together, you can send messages back and forth bidirectionally instead of just consuming it. And so, I don't know. I think it's not the worst idea to say, I'm going to dig up some, and I know you could have turned the things.io into a Twitter copy like that.
So you're saying it all boils down to a $40 billion decision around that?
Yes. Unfortunately, neither Mark nor I got $40 billion. We're still waiting. But maybe this afternoon we'll both work separately and create our own Twitter copies.
Great.
They won't scale to billion people. They might scale to some of our friends.
Well, Reddit might.
Are bots people?
Yes, bots are people too.
Bots are people too. Yeah, they deserve rights.
They should be treated with the same respect of carbon-based life units. Absolutely.
It is amazing how these hours do turn into crazy talk. Not coffee talk.
I remember an interview with Jack Dorsey many years ago when it was 60 Minutes or whatever, and they were asking him like, "Well, who are you? What are you?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm a software developer." And in fact, he was demonstrating his point of sale stuff, whatever it is. I forgot already. Anyway, he said when he created Twitter, they just did it for fun with their friends. It was just a way for friends to kind of chat with each other. That's all it was. And the original idea, the length of the tweet, it was just an IP-based version of SMS text messages is all it was supposed to be. And he just did it for fun. It was just for some friends. And then it kind of blew up. Yeah. If you go back in time, when we think about architecture and decisions like frameworks, programming languages, how to scale, do you remember in the early days of Twitter, sometimes you get that fail whale thing because it couldn't handle the load? They built Twitter originally with Ruby. like Ruby on Rails,
really?
which is highly productive for developers, but is miserable, horrible performance, and it doesn't scale at all. And so ultimately they had to rewrite Twitter while the plane is flying. I think they rewrote it in Java or something, but yeah, because I know Java doesn't seem like something that would be awesome, but I think that's actually what they chose back then, because Go wasn't out.
That's horrible.
I know, but it was better than Ruby. and then of course,
I was Googling about that, the Twitter architecture, but I don't know.
Yeah, when in doubt, throw hardware at it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yes, I remember all the fail whales, because it just it got popular really fast. Those are interesting times.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, I know you brought up middleware before. Are you hearing that phrase more often lately than you have in a while?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
Middleware has just been something we've been doing forever. I think.
Why are you asking, Steve?
Well, because last week we heard a lot about data lakes and a lot of other descriptions of all these architectures and things like that, and middleware and platforms. And I'm just like, you're right. It is middleware.
Yeah.
I mean, when it's all said and done, and, as we look at cycles, are we looking to now replace the word platform with middleware or architecture or anything else? Because I just wrote that down, because I got a client right now that is platform. And I'm like going, you're number 616.
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, I was noticing just recently that I don't hear as much the word middleware as I used to. Yeah. So I was curious about your question, because I don't hear it as much.
Yeah.
And I think middleware is a lot more concrete than platform, a ton more concrete. Yeah. And I would say that people use the term platform when they don't really know what to name, or they just
right.
If I don't know how to describe something really well because I don't have the knowledge yet, but I want to tell you about it, I'll just say, well, it's a platform. And then I move on with the rest of the thoughts.
Yeah. Well, the reason I'm bringing it up, Andrea, is the idea that, when I have clients that I have to try and figure out what the go-to-market strategy is and how to make money and what the commercialization is going to be about it, and the word platform comes up, I'm screwed, because I can't differentiate you that well. And so if architecture or middleware allows conversations with CIOs to open up to potentially buying it, I got to find a way, because I cannot. It's like me going to Leonard, me and you going to Guangzhou and getting an IP camera and trying to bring it to market. Like, how the hell are we differentiating an IP camera from a platform in the IoT space?
Do it. You paint the housing. I don't. You just paint the housing of your favorite color, and that's it. I will pick red, put a check mark, and then just go, like, immediate sales.
Oh my God!
Hey, how do I get a red check mark on Twitter, by the way?
It's $75. Pay cash to the Dominican guy right here. And
wait a second. So when we bring our Twitter lookalike to life, which I'm sure Mark and I will both write one this afternoon because it's fun. We'll have red check marks, and we will charge $75.
Absolutely, it's worth it. It's worth it.
But you'll have access to people. Oh, wait, something's coming together here. I think something unique, something like privilege, a club,
yes.
I don't know. It
like
could
Clubhouse.
Like Clubhouse.
Hey, but
it's funny when you said data lake, you're hearing middleware and data lakes, and data lake is a worn out term, long since worn out term, and I don't hear it much anymore. Now, when someone doesn't know what they're talking about with databases or where to put data, they do say, "Oh, just throw it in a data lake."
It's like the cloud.
Rob,
just throw it in the cloud.
It's the same with platform.
Just wait till they ask you, how do you pronounce SQL altogether?
Squeal.
SQL.
But jokes aside, like I think there's Andrea's comment. There's specific genius behind it, because when you're thinking about middleware, whatever it is, like it's going to be very specific, right? It's an application function. Is it a support function? It's like easy to describe what the middleware does within whatever stack. It's just that when you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, well, it's a platform because it does, 900,000 things. And anyway, I think that was, a good nugget.
Thank you for that. But I have issue with the word platform. And I use it.
Is it because Ericsson said 5G is a platform
of innovation?
I don't know, but I take issue with that. But I use the word platform at times when I don't have enough information. I don't know details. I just say some sort of platform, right? I'm not hiding. I'm just not in the know, right? But for a real conversation, middleware and architecture, even a system, I use system a lot, and even system is a bit nebulous, but middleware and architecture is really specific, and the conversation can keep going and going and going, where you really get to the root of what you're trying to do.
Well, you could also draw the system and get very specific right away if you put it on a whiteboard. I just think we use platform when we just the product doesn't exist, but I'm going to invent it once I know there's money coming my way. And just say platform.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a platform, there's a couple of ingredients, and I think that this goes back to something that Rick said a while back. It's like, you can never proclaim that you have a platform. It's it's going to be a community of developers and users who tell you that you do, and the ingredients are the minimum ingredients are you're actually providing a unique set of tools, right? Because if you're saying this is my platform, you're not necessarily saying that it's non-proprietary, right? So you have a set of tools, you have some services that you might be providing to deliver, provide an environment for development, deployment, and such, and then you have a marketplace, basically. So, on one end, you have tools and that a developer community / creator community can use. And on the other hand, you have sort of a marketplace where from a SaaS or a XaaS perspective, your end users can consume the product in some, or that service or whatever it is, the application in some fashion. So from that standpoint, you might have a platform, and there's a lot of different varieties of that, but that would be the minimum sniff test that I would expect anyone to be able to pass. And 99% of all the companies that say that they have a platform, and 99% of the companies that academics and people in the industry call platforms aren't platforms. They're something else, and you're just confusing everyone by calling it a platform. Like this whole thing about platform economy, blah blah blah. It's like, what do you mean by?
I would like to disagree.
That's fine. That's
doctor.
Oh,
what the? I mean,
tell us more.
Shit, it would be boring if no one.
No, I mean, a platform is the thing that allows you to build things on top of it, right? And so, if I go back in time, back to the 90s. Microsoft routinely referred to Windows as a platform, and the Windows Server in the cloud. And the reason it's a platform is it was a binary runtime on top of hardware that let you build things on top of it. And then servers became platforms when they went from just file and print servers to being application servers. And so you could build things on that.
Because platforms support, right? Platforms support other things. Yeah. When I think of platform, I think of something horizontal, right? There's
it's horizontal just a place where you can build, innovate on top of. So Linux is a platform as well. And then people started building application servers in the 90s, and then all just kind of went, I did think it was kind of ridiculous, but it's marketing when Ericsson was trying to say that 5G is a platform. It's just a network. We already have lots of networks. Networks communicate between platforms. They are not the platform.
I wanted to segue into something scandalous, because if we agree that a platform is something you're building something on top of said platform, does that mean that there is no such thing as a connectivity platform? Because there's no building, you're connecting.
Right. I agree. They're just it's talking between the platforms. They're just talking. It's a different way to communicate.
Word platform, I apologize. I have a delay here I noticed it with every one of you, so it must be me. I talk over some
divide.
It's Andrew's platform.
I'm in Canada, so they might not have great internet here. I lived here for a while. It was great. But I'm talking over some of you. I kind of realize in hindsight. So apologies there.
It's all right.
But I was going to ask Leonard how he came to know that 99% of people talk about platform don't have one. Did you use a data lake for that?
He just makes stuff up at his head and he says it.
Just wondering.
No, it's based on having talked to so many people, so many companies that say that they have a platform, and you ask those basic questions of, okay, so you have a platform, what are the tools that you provide to your developer community? What are the frameworks? What is there a marketplace that that channels what's developed into the end user, to the end user? And most of the time they don't have any of that crap. So
they don't. But platform is also a term to get the conversation going, right?
What?
So you say, I have a piece of software, or I have this hardware with some software on it. It just sounds rudimentary. But if you say, I have a platform, but I expect a lot of concrete stuff to come as you go into the conversation, right?
So think about
it's a good conversation opener.
As people build software, SaaS or otherwise, systems, and it starts off as being kind of a monolithic, it just does this thing. When they add extensibility to it and let you add onto it and build onto it. So for instance, when my good friends in San Francisco built Salesforce.com, it was not a platform originally. It was like, we built this, well, it was arguably one of the first cloud things, but we weren't calling it cloud just yet. And it delivers this. But then at some point they said, we will let you build. And they built all this development tools and everything. And pretty soon you could build on top of the Salesforce cloud to do solutions. Facebook, when they started to say, hey, here's a way to make it extensible, kind of, if you just look around at some SaaS offerings, the first baby step is deliver your offering, right? And then the next baby step is, the reason you want to have a platform is then you can attract a community onto you because of builders, of developers, and then you're hoping to get some of that cool network effects on there. And so people will build and more people will use it, and on and on and on.
Should the first delivery be on PowerPoint or Python?
PowerPoint.
Okay, I'm with you. PowerPoint. Delivering on that.
I don't want anyone to ever be embarrassed about V1 being PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Lumada was PowerPoint with me pitching to executives in Tokyo to get a whole lot of money. And so don't be ashamed of PowerPoint.
Yeah. And Rob, I mean, bringing this back to the stuff that Honeywell was talking about, I mean, that's exactly sort of how they're looking at it. They're not calling themselves a platform. What they're saying is, look, we need to build this thing and, make it worth being extensible and usable by a developer community, right? Otherwise, we're using this internally as a product development accelerator, and that's exactly what Salesforce.com did. And I love that you're bringing it up, because a lot of folks don't see Salesforce.com as a software company. They are. They go, oh, there's a SaaS company, so it's
what is SaaS? It's software.
Yeah, it's software. Right. They're a software company. It just happens that the way that they deliver the software is
delivery
through,
model.
Online, service.
Exactly. When instead of installing software on your computer. Yeah.
But they engineer software.
Yeah.
And so, you brought up a really great analogy, Force.com. It's like once they got their shit together, they productized it and said, "Hey, we're going to."
And now they have like the biggest event of anybody in San Francisco every year, right?
Yeah, and the biggest friggin' building in downtown.
Yeah, I think it's tipping over.
And they're into healthcare too.
Yeah.
They're into healthcare too, Salesforce.
Yeah. I have one other comment since you're talking about middleware too. And it's probably wrong, but I remember having a theory. Like we've all had theories about what's held IoT back, right? And, security, complexity, blah, blah, blah. But I remember a long time ago thinking I would see all my friends who are all the CEOs of these IoT platform companies. We know all of them. And they're always putting out marketing material that tells you why you shouldn't try to build your own and you should go with the experts and let us do it instead. It's very self-serving, of course, but there's a reason, I think, why we saw so many IoT platforms pop up over the last decade. It's because it's freaking middleware, and lots of developers are out there go, oh, middleware, I've built this 1,000 times already. I know how to do this. And so they did, because it is middleware. It's the ability to have different, it's APIs, it's running on a server, it's a database. I'm connecting to things. I used to connect people, field service people, whatever. And now I'm just having machines. And they're like, I can do this. And I think that's why I remember all my time at like Microsoft with Azure IoT, and we keep looking at statistics of who's in the lead or whatever. And none of the big players were in the lead. The people who were in the lead were people who were rolling their own homegrown stuff. And so the IoT platform market, as you thought of it, was fragmented because it was like, this isn't hard. It's not hard to build an IoT platform. Obviously, getting it right and fine-tuning and all that, I totally get it. But the basics of it are similar. Your ability to scale, obviously, that requires a little more intelligence. And money.
And data lakes.
There you go. Thanks for the data lake. Yeah. And so I was like, when we did IoT in the 90s for vending machines, our first version for many years was running an Access database on Windows, not server. It was Access, and we were polling vending machines. Did it work? Yes. Did we say we had a platform, or did we lead with IoT? No, we led with, here's a vending machine solution for inventory management and saving money and making money and marketing and stuff like that. That worked. Yeah. Having a generic middleware platform for IoT, it depends on who you are if it works. Some people just dropped $5 billion on IoT over the last few years, and now they're doing massive layoffs. I'm not going to say any names.
Yeah, but that's the problem with the forecast, right? Because a lot of these startups get funded and valuated based on these massive forecasts, and they're wrong. I think there has to be a real serious conversation about that disconnect, because it is harmful. And I think we are the only friggin' show in the universe that actually talks about this. See you, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Just go to sleep. And then I'm sure that a lot of our friends want to kick our butts for a lot of the stuff that we've said. But hey, look, you know what? Learn and adjust, and
that, or you're welcome to join us and tell us what you're thinking.
What you hate, and that we're full of crap. Come on, we're game. But I have a new nickname. I have a nickname for Andrea. We shall call you henceforth the Lady of the Data Lake.
I was, of course, I used it.
Your day job.
I used it jokingly today, right? Because we're having fun on this show.
I know.
But I remember when I first learned the term. What's that? Okay. When I first learned the term, I was fascinated with it. I was totally fascinated. I remember that, and it's not that long ago actually that I learned it. It's just a few years, but I was fascinated with what was happening. So what do you do with it? What does it mean? And do you just put things in the lake? Do you take things out of the lake? Do you expand the lake? Do you shrink the lake?
Yeah.
All
Can you swim in the lake?
Yeah. Can you swim in the lake?
Specifically, it referred to putting a bunch of structured and unstructured data into Hadoop clusters is what a data lake was. And it's like, just throw all of it in there, and then we're going to use Yarn and all these obscure tools that no one knows how to use to figure out what's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of the terms we hear or we don't hear, I don't hear Hadoop much as I used to.
Yeah.
In telecom, I heard it a lot, but it was used when it's we're doing Hadoop here. Oh, really? Whoa! Okay, that's great. Yeah.
You know what? People like Cloudera were started from working with Hadoop and trying to build expertise around Hadoop and data lakes and getting value. You know, all this goes back to that one story you heard about Target, about how all of a sudden mail's coming into Target to this person's house, and the dad's opening the letters and he's noticing Target's recommending all these baby supplies for his daughter. And it's like, what is this all about? And it turns out Target, through using their data lake and Hadoop, determined by her buying preferences, they predicted that she was pregnant.
And do not blame the retailer. Blame the end user for not opting out or opting in her privacy settings. Yeah. She should have read that 900-page end user license agreement.
But when the world heard that story, that Target figured out that she was pregnant, everybody said, we are all in with big data and Hadoop and data lakes because this is magic stuff.
Yeah. And cautionary tale, right now in China, they're using big data to identify very quickly who might have COVID. And they are able to very quickly now triangulate the exact buildings to isolate and quarantine. So they're starting to do this in a very targeted way. So
that's because they have great cellular triangulation capabilities.
Yeah, I mean,
but do they figure out before people know that they have COVID?
Maybe.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
that's the real.
So
what I thought if China says you have COVID, you have COVID, and just that's what I read.
When you see someone walk up to your apartment with a nail gun and they start to nail gun your door shut so you can't leave, that's when you know that the government knows.
Yeah. That's when you know you have COVID.
Exactly.
But I mean, surveillance nations,
Exactly.
I mean, in one case, it's a government, and the other, it's corporations. I mean, data. I think this fixation on data is gotten out of control. What we probably need to think about more is applications. Data.
But I think it's fixation on data, but again, I take the conversation to healthcare. I think there's big fixation on data privacy, and I think it's too much. And maybe you guys disagree with this, but
yeah, I do.
I'm not so worried about my data privacy. To be honest with you, in healthcare, I worry about it in financials, but not so much in healthcare.
Well, this is going to be a fun one.
Maybe
let me just make some assumptions here. You might not worry about it because you might not think that a company, maybe an insurer or a healthcare provider, could utilize that data to their benefit and your detriment. Because may the Lord or the universe forbid, right, that one of us catches something quite serious. We would like to think, well, I have a job, I'm covered because I paid, this insurance, I'll be okay. Versus some bean counter that's really good at Excel, basically deeming you a risk based on the data that you have. And one day you get a letter like, hey, in 2 weeks, we are taking the coverage away because we have a new risk model. Kind of like a bunch of homeowners in Florida that got a letter from the insurance provider saying, hey, we're out of this area and figure it out. You've got 30 days.
But I think, I have insurance through a big employer. So I think that's why I don't worry about it. And I've always had insurance.
You don't worry about it because you can go to Canada and you know you're going to be fine. What about the rest of us? What about Steve and I?
Well,
don't you care about us?
Steve, how about? Yeah. Well, listen, David, you're years away from having to be in the Medicare bracket. So let me explain something to you. That shit doesn't work either.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, we gotta wrap it up here. It's been a real fun conversation. Who wants to take us out?
I'm going to take us out. I'm going to personally take the Twitter copy challenge. And so by the next time you see us next week, I will have launched my own Twitter clone. We will have red check marks. We'll make more money off of it. I'm looking for VC financing if anybody's interested.
Checks in the mail, Rob.
Thank God for that. And it's going to work with people and machines, both. And so it's, anyway, thanks for joining us on IoT Coffee Talk. It's always good to see you folks. A bunch of us all got to go to some great events last week. We talked about Honeywell. We talked about IoT World, AI, quantum. There's a hurricane coming again. Sorry, Artemis. You're going to push it back again.
And thoughts and prayers to our friend and colleague, Stephanie, and her family.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So everybody stay safe out there, and we will see you next week. Check us out at iotcoffeetalk.com or wherever you get podcasts. And we are out.
Don't stop believing.